Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. I was reading the comments. Um, Man, I love that film. I love that film so much. That's Dan's trip to the planet Phi. It's part of. I digitized a bunch of stuff for the Academic Film Archive of North America, and they did a project with the woman, one of the founders of the Yellow Ball animation workshop, and that was one of the contributions. I used to read this book at my library, local library in Albemarle, North Carolina, that was a Yellow Ball book about how to animate, and I actually did some things as part of a summer workshop there, but not to the level that Dan did. So big fan of kids who animate stuff. And we've been showing a couple of these, and I also have some in my collection as well. But my question is, where's the trouble? Where's the trouble? Um, if nothing else, watching AV Geeks lunchtime streaming show, you see things you've never seen before. And that the kids, the grease monkeys, all wearing the same shirt, that that's an image that's going to haunt me. It's going to show up in my dreams. I know. Maybe a good dream. Someone referred to the human centipede. If you don't know what that is, do not Google it. Do not. Very clever, but do not Google it. And because I said do not Google it, do not Google it. All right. I am feeling better today. I tested negative for the first time. Yay. I get to be with my wife. We kissed each other. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Because we didn't do that before. Because I didn't want her to get sick. All right. Somebody asked, like, what is this channel about? It's about 16 millimeter film. And I'm surprised I have not shown this film yet. Really surprised. This copy came from the National Archives, but I have a copy of it somewhere in the vast amount of 16 millimeter films I have, and I just haven't digitized it yet. So here it is, Facts About Film. Enjoy.
This is 16 millimeter sound film. Because it's easily shown on small portable projectors, its invention has greatly increased the use and value of motion pictures. These days, anyone can operate a sound projector. The film is a celluloid strip, perforated along one edge. A gelatin coating on one side contains the images of pictures and recorded sound. On black and white film, these images are formed of silver, and on color film, they're formed by dyes. Celluloid, unfortunately, is not the world's strongest material. Therefore, motion picture film must be handled with care to protect it from damage. You see what I mean? Let's take another example. Care must be taken to protect film in transit. Here's a strong fiber box, but see what's inside. If, before we ship a reel of film, we apply a paper band and fasten it securely, at the other end of the line we'll have film, not spaghetti. There are two types of celluloid used in the manufacture of film. One of them, known as cellulose nitrate, is the kind used for the 35 millimeter print shown in the movie theaters. Nitrate film is comparatively strong, but it has the disadvantage of being highly inflammable. It is almost an explosive. Theaters are required to maintain elaborate precautions against fire and to employ highly skilled operators. This is just one of many reasons why it would not be safe to use nitrate film in a portable projector. All 16 millimeter film is made of acetate cellulose. Acetate film is perfectly safe, but it's not as tough as nitrate. Any friction against the surface of moving film is likely to produce a scratch. It shows on the screen as a dark vertical line, like this, and this, and this. Hey there! Get your fingers off the film. That's better. The manufacturers of 16mm projectors carefully design their machines to keep film wear and strain at a minimum. But in running through a projector, the film necessarily touches and rubs against parts of the machine. Here at the gate, for example, the film is pressed between two pieces of metal, the aperture plate and the pressure plate. But see how these plates are made. A wide path has been hollowed out for the pictures to go through, and another has been made for the soundtrack. The important areas of the film are not touched at all. Other parts of the machine, the guide rollers, sprockets, and the sound drum, turn with the film, and so there is no friction. In spite of the manufacturer's care, scratches sometimes occur in the machine. Careless threading is one cause. Here, for example, the operator is allowing the film to scrape the bottom of the lamp house. See those guide rollers? That's what they're for. Film runs through the gate at the rate of 36 feet a minute. Dust and particles of gelatin are accumulating on the surfaces of the plates. Eventually, the hollowed-out spaces are filled with dirt. And so, we have more of those lovely scratches. Before every reel of film, the wise operator uses a brush to clean out the gate. At regular intervals, he inspects the gate for hard particles of gelatin that the brush could not remove. He scrapes them off with a toothpick. He does not use a knife blade or a pin. A metal tool would spoil the polished surface of the plates. The operator also cleans the sprockets and checks the guide rollers to see that they turn freely. While we're talking about scratches, here's another way to make them. The film is wound too loosely on the reel. We think it ought to be tightened, so we grab the reel firmly and pull the film good and hard. This is called cinching the film, and the scratches we get are called cinch marks. They look like this. It's better to leave the film loose than to tighten it by cinching. The perforations along the edge of the film provide the means by which the sprocket wheels of the projector move the film. Here, the operator has been careful to mesh the film perforations with the sprocket teeth. But a bad splice in the film may cause the perforations to jump out of alignment with the teeth, and so new holes may be punched where they don't belong. It's easy to check for this sort of damage while the machine is running. Gently feel the perforated edge of the film as it passes into the take-up reel. If the film is rough or jagged, stop the machine. Look for the source of trouble. The sprockets carry the film with a smooth, continuous motion. But at the gate is a set of claws which move in and out, up and down, to give the film an intermittent movement. Film is threaded so as to leave small loops above and below the gate. These loops act as shock absorbers, confining the intermittent movement to only a few inches of film. A few torn holes like these may travel safely through the sprockets. But at the gate, the claws fail to drive the film. The lower loop tightens, and on the screen we have a picture that looks like this. Without its shock absorber, the film is being strained. A few torn holes have grown to be a whole series of them. It's sometimes possible to reform a loop while the machine is running. However, it's better to stop the machine immediately. there will be less damage, and the operator has a chance to check all of the threading. One of the most useful parts of a projector is the little wheel that lets you turn the machine by hand. It should be used to run through the leader of each film before the showing is begun. When the machine is moving as slowly as this, it's a simple matter to spot mistakes in threading. When a film breaks in two, it can, of course, be repaired. A splice is really a weld, so the trick in making splices is to have the overlapping surfaces absolutely clean. Roughing them lightly with a razor blade will help. And be sure that the cement you use is fresh. The projector is clean and well adjusted. The film is carefully threaded. With proper care, a 16mm film will give hundreds of good showings.
So that film certainly tells us a lot about the philosophy behind screening film and the damage that can be caused if you don't thread it correctly, etc. What it didn't explain is how OBS will, if you accidentally click in the wrong area, it will make your mic go live. And so that's why I kept having problems. I was like, I don't understand. I turned it off. And then I would click back and it would be back on again. So anyways, let's just go back to a simpler time before live streaming, when it was just delicious pineapples. Enjoy.
Please focus sharply and adjust the sound level. This is a Paul Huffler production preview print.
Far out in the blue Pacific, a kindly sun looks down with friendly warmth on some of the most beautiful islands in all the world. These are the tropical islands of Hawaii, where nature is profuse in her gifts to man. Here, graceful ferns hug the good earth and drink in the gentle mist, and dew-laden leaves hide in the shadowed tangle of greenery. In this tropical paradise grow the loveliest of orchids, some red, some gaily tiger-striped, or decked in gentle lavender, others in purest white, or in gorgeous yellow. On these islands, a lavish blending of soil and sunshine, of gentle winds and nourishing rains, cause bananas, papayas, breadfruit, and pineapples to grow in rare abundance. Wild pineapples take many forms and bear a slight resemblance to the fruit we know so well. Pineapples were not native to the Pacific Islands, but were taken there from other parts of the world. From South America, this variety, known as the smooth cayenne, was taken to the houses of Europe. It was later distributed to various tropical countries and is now the principal commercial pineapple. But the ordinary commercial varieties are the beginning, not the end, of the pineapple story. During the early hundreds, American scientists started one of the most amazing selection processes in the history of industrial farming. They went into the pineapple fields, combing and recombing thousands of acres in their quest for worthy parents for the ideal pineapple. As the search continued, the choice was steadily narrowed down to those clones, or families, which produced the greatest uniformity in the size and quality of their fruit. These men are checking on the development of various families, or clones, that are being grown experimentally. 8 plant families have been developed, and it is from these that the finest pineapples are obtained. There are many undesirable qualities in the ordinary pineapple. It is wasteful and time-consuming to pick a fruit with a collar of slips and remove these by hand. The knobs at the base of some pineapples make preparation for canning difficult and costly. Well-formed fruit, grown from selected stock, lends itself readily to mechanized harvesting, and the lack of knobs at the base of this pineapple simplifies the entire packing process. Here we see an example of man's ability to improve on nature by the exercise of patience and the use of natural laws. This huge machine cuts down the old plants after the second harvest, chops them into bits, and spreads this material over the fields where it decomposes and enriches the soil. The fields are plowed repeatedly until all previous vegetation has been turned under. This practice promotes drainage and provides nutrition for maximum root development. Big disc harrows then go through the fields, breaking up clods and destroying weeds. The final step in preparing the soil is known as floating the field. The heavy drag leaves a fine, smooth surface ready for planting. Tractors pull long bars equipped with sharp fingers, which leave behind them the evenly spaced lines along which the young plants will soon grow. Following closely in its wake is one of agriculture's most ingenious machines, moving steadily along the marked lines. Its most visible function is the laying of long black strips of mulch paper. But first it turns a furrow in which it deposits a special fertilizer. Finally, 2 discs turn soil over the edges of the mulch paper to hold it in place. This paper preserves moisture, prevents weed growth, and helps maintain the proper temperature around the plants. Here are 3 kinds of planting material. At the left, a sucker, a slip in the middle, and a crown at the right. Slips are preferred because they develop into hardier plants and produce better fruit. A month or 2 after harvest, experienced crews go into the fields and strip the most mature and well-developed slips for planting. The choice slips are carefully laid on top of their mother plants to cure. This ensures a healthy base from which roots can start promptly after planting. When cured, the slips are collected by crews of men working with long boom conveyors, which load them into field trucks. The trucks take the slips to the fields, where workers scatter them along the rows of mulch paper. The planting now gets underway, and few tasks are more difficult or tiring, nor more quickly done. With back bent almost double, the planter moves down the rows between the paper, wasting no motion as he punches holes and inserts the young plants at 12.5-inch intervals, already marked on the yard-wide paper. Each man plants from 5,000 to 7,000 slips a day. There are about 17,000 plants to the acre. This machine is nearing perfection and will someday make it unnecessary for men to do such tedious work. The machine's two giant pincers, rising and falling in a steady, easy rhythm, are surprisingly gentle. They handle the young plants almost tenderly. As each metal arm comes to the top of its stroke, it seizes just one slip, makes its downward swing, punches a hole, and inserts the plant in its proper position. Planted by hand or by machine, fall into place and stretch in long, trim columns across the plantations. The far-reaching fields have added their beauty to the glorious tropical landscape. The young plants, protected by the mulch paper, are well started on their cycle of growth, but require constant protection against weeds and insect pests. These machines deposit a chemical solution which kills choking grasses and food-devouring weeds. The diet of healthy young pineapple plants must include plenty of nitrogen and other foods. This first spraying helps supply this nourishment. Iron, another vital plant foodstuff, is flung 100 feet across the fields in a fine, wind-blown spray. But the low-hanging booms must go back into action when it becomes necessary to combat insect life. And all the while, the job of fertilizing goes on. Every need for additional plant food has been determined, and highly specialized machines are constantly supplying these needs. About 17 months after planting, a cluster of delicate buds indicate that the fruit is beginning to form, and within a month, the cluster shows the first sign of becoming cone-shaped. The flowering buds, each one of them destined to become one of the eyes of the pineapple, start blossoming at the bottom and spread toward the top. A cross-section of the fruit, about 18 months after planting, shows how each flower is turning into a tiny fruitlet, which presently combines with the others to form the whole fruit. Meanwhile, new suckers sprout from the stem, and the plant, only recently a slip itself, starts producing its own slip, another step in the age-old miracle of self-perpetuation. As the slips and suckers grow larger and stronger, the pineapple looks more like its familiar self, a full golden yellow, for now within the spiral rows of coarse, rough eyes, there's a firm, juice-filled, deliciously ripe pineapple. The culture, growing, and packing of pineapples is a major industry in the Pacific Islands, where the broad fields reflect American scientific skill and the teamwork of men and machines.
So I was watching that. I was like, that narrator sounds so familiar. Why does that narrator sound so familiar? This is why. Enjoy.
Once upon a time, in a neighborhood pretty much like yours, perhaps, there were some children who played together all the time. There was Betty, Mike, Pete, and Larry. They had lots of fun digging in a vacant lot. One day a new girl moved into the neighborhood. Her name was Susan, and she had a dog whose name was Skipper. Skipper was a cute little dog, and Susan was very fond of him. She liked to pet him and play with him. She liked to teach him tricks, too. Of course, Skipper loved Susan. He liked to play with her, and he liked to do the tricks she'd taught him. But fond as Susan was of Skipper, she didn't want to play with him all the time. And when the children who lived in the neighborhood came along, she was glad to see them. They invited Susan to play in the vacant lot with them. Larry said, "Come and play with us. We're digging a trench." Mike said, "If you'll come and play with us, you can have one of our shovels." "You should see our trench," Pete said. "It's long and wide and deep, too. We're having fun." "I'd like you to play with us," said Betty. "I've been hoping a girl would move into our neighborhood." "Please come." Susan decided to play with the children. She asked Skipper to come along. But Skipper refused to go. He didn't like the looks of these new children, and he wouldn't play with them. While Susan and her new friends went off to have a good time, Skipper stayed at home on the porch. "I won't have anything to do with such funny-looking children," he told himself. So he just stayed there and sulked. Now there were some dogs in this neighborhood. They belonged to Susan's new friends. They played together, too. When they saw Skipper sitting alone on the porch, they came over to ask him to join them. But when the first dog came up and invited Skipper to play, Skipper looked at him and barked a mean bark. "I won't play with you," he said. "You have a funny shape." The first dog's feelings were hurt, so he turned around and left. The second dog came up to Skipper. "Come and play with us," he said. But Skipper didn't like the size of this dog. He was too big, so he snarled and barked at him, telling him to go away. The big dog backed away. He was a nice dog and didn't want to fight. Skipper looked at the third dog, who was still sitting on the lawn. And he snarled and barked again in the meanest voice he could manage. "I don't like the color of that dog's coat," he said to himself. He snarled and barked some more. And he chased the new dogs all the way down the street. As Skipper trotted back to the porch, he thought to himself, "I certainly won't play with dogs like those. I don't like their looks. I'll just wait until a dog who's the right size, shape, and color comes along, or I won't play at all." So Skipper just sat, and sat, and sat. But soon he got tired of sitting. He decided to look for something to do. "No, Skipper, don't go into the garage. There's poster paint in there." "No, Skipper." "Skipper!" Uh-oh, poor Skipper. Poster paint all over him. And off he went to find Susan to ask her to clean him up. As he started down the street, he met the first dog. "Go away," said the dog. "Go away, you look funny." Skipper was surprised. No one had ever spoken to him like that before. But the new dog sounded so angry that Skipper thought he'd better leave. And then he met the second dog. The second dog looked at Skipper and said, Go away. You're funny. Maybe you don't remember me, Skipper said to him. I'm Skipper. You wanted to play with me before. Not now, said the second dog. Go away. He sounded angrier than the first dog, and just as Skipper was about to leave, the other dogs came up. Hiding behind the big dog, the third dog said, Go away, Skipper. We don't like you. Skipper had had enough. Look, he said, you're all being pretty silly. This is just paint on me. It's only on the outside. Inside, I'm no different than I was before. You're the silly one, said the big dog. We don't care what you're like on the outside. It's inside that matters. And inside, you're not a nice dog. And then the three dogs chased Skipper all the way home. Back on his front porch, Skipper felt very sorry for himself. He whimpered and complained in the saddest voice he could manage. In the vacant lot where she was playing, Susan heard Skipper. With the other children following her, she raced off to see what was wrong. As soon as she saw him, she knew what was wrong. She went into the house for soap, water, and a wash tub. In the backyard, all the children helped give Skipper a good bath. And while they washed him, Skipper did a lot of thinking. I have been a silly dog, he said to himself. Imagine not liking others because of their looks. While the children dried him, he thought some more. Size, shape, or color make no difference after all. Being nice is the only thing that counts. And being nice is something inside. Nothing else really matters. After Skipper was washed and dried, everyone went back to play in the vacant lot. The other dogs were there. Skipper said to them, I'm sorry about the way I behaved. I'd like to play with you now if you'll let me. After that, everyone played together and had a good time. And of course, Susan was very proud of Skipper.
All the joys of childhood, being excited about playing in a vacant lot and digging a trench. What were they going to do with that trench? Was that going to be where they recreate World War One drama of some sort? Who knows? But that's what the joy of being a kid, digging a trench. As an adult, I don't like digging trenches. It's not a lot of fun. So this film is fond to me because it is features a character named Skipper, and that is my nickname. Unfortunately, he was a racist dog, and but he learned his lesson thanks to poster paint. Okay, I know you're wondering about things. Well, this film might help you with this. Enjoy.
This leader is provided to permit the projectionist to adjustments before the film begins. The volume and tone are identical with the soundtrack which follows.
What is this? How does an ant eat? Why is water wet? Stop tell us, please. What's the bee? Why are candles hot? What is this? What's this? What is it?
What are you currently working on?
DNA,
rock and roll,
chemistry of viruses,
communal art,
the notion of fuzziness.
I'm working on a script.
Institute for Nonviolence,
boat repair,
the moon,
sculpture,
and writing songs.
Well, I was writing a column until a bunch of nuts wandered in here with a movie camera.
I'm an organizer for the Berkeley Tenants Union.
65-foot figure that I'm doing for Hiroshima, where we dropped the bomb.
Growth of world population.
Mentally retarded children, teaching them art.
Astrophysics.
Environmental planning.
Compounds containing transition metals.
Higher education in Sweden and the United States. Infrared study of the atmosphere of Mars.
Gottfried von Einem's new Hexameron written for the orchestra.
White dwarf stars.
Why are you interested in that work?
It has a fascination because it's the extreme that matter can eventually get to.
I like to work through dimension. It's more therapeutic.
Intellectual curiosity.
I built the boat and I enjoyed it.
Everybody has equal opportunity for input.
Who else gets paid to tell everybody every day what he thinks?
I think it's fundamental to our understanding of nature.
To me, it's the medium.
I'm not so sure I know why.
What I'm trying to help at is find a nonviolent politics.
I'm interested in the structure of molecules.
The impetus behind it was a series of spectacular rent increases around this area last summer.
DNA is the basic genetic material of life.
All of the economic gains, the cultural gains, and so forth, which have been made during the course of the last quarter century, have been wiped out by very rapid population growth.
It's a figure of peace.
What practical benefits to mankind do you foresee as a result of your work?
Well, maybe none. Hopefully, some understanding.
We work towards trying to benefit mankind.
There might be some, yes.
Well, in a sense, sure.
I hope not too many. I would hope that as much as possible what I do is relevant to man's curiosity rather than to man's desire to use nature.
You can't, drive it and you can't hang it on your wall. But it's something that can become part of your way of life.
It's always hard to predict. Immediately, I would say, no.
None.
There's quite a lot of people benefiting from just coming and sitting and listening to beautiful music.
Understanding Mars helps us understand Earth.
We're trying to say things that mean things to people.
New knowledge is by itself a benefit to mankind.
Yes, I mean, that's my point in practically everything I do.
Do you regard yourself to have a highly active curiosity?
Yes, perhaps.
Yes. Yes?
Yes, always have had.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I think I do.
Yes, I do.
I think so.
That depends upon the time of day.
I'm very curious about the things that I'm involved with.
I lie awake at nights wondering about things.
I'm very curious about people.
I'm as curious as it is legitimate to be.
Well, I'd be a pretty poor scientist if I didn't.
It requires a curious and inquisitive mind.
Yeah, it's necessary to have one to be alive, I think.
What is creativity?
Oh, I'd say it's remaining open to reality, not looking at things with the eye of what you know in advance.
To strip away things that don't matter.
Being able to digest lots and lots of information and resist the temptation to say what everybody else has said.
It's actually what life's all about.
I'm sure creativity has something to do with love.
Has something to do with dreaming.
To me, it's a song coming out of me.
Using the different mediums, combining the different mediums.
Creativity stems from limitations.
Pain.
You encounter the same difficulty in trying to define creativity as you do in trying to define beauty.
I'd hate to even try.
Creativity is probably a word that describes what free people do.
The human brain is a very, very complicated computer. And some persons are able to take these obvious things and put them together and come up with something new.
Is the ability to probe into something you don't know, to answer questions previously not answered.
The ability to associate things which really aren't associated and then to make something of that.
It's taking what we have and reassembling it, I guess, and using it in a different manner.
Looking at one thing and seeing another. I'm interested in taking molecules we find in nature around us and rearranging them into new molecules, new substances. Take sand or quartz. That's silica. Has a strong three-dimensional lattice made up of silicon-oxygen bonds. At high temperatures, silica reacts with graphite to make elemental silicon. From elemental silicon, I can obtain the chloromethylsilanes. With monochlorosilane, I can make a disiloxane through the reaction with water. This is a small molecule. There are weak forces between such molecules. That gives me a liquid. If I'm interested in substance with higher viscosity, I'd start with dichloro-dimethylsilane. That polymerizes to a long chain-like molecule. And of course, these stringy molecules have viscous properties. Possibility of interconnecting these chains, cross-linking, I can obtain elasticity, rubbery qualities.
Are you concerned about the possible misuse of science?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
Very definitely.
Oh, I think we all are.
I think science is misused more than it's used in this country now.
Misuse of some of the basic discoveries in science in the last 10 or 20 years has turned the public completely off.
I think science is in the hands of the devil at this point.
Some of these things are destroying things.
Mankind now is poised to end civilization.
And science is neutral. Science finds new things. We learn new things, which can be used for bad and good purposes.
I think most of the scientists are very much concerned about misuse of the scientific information.
Well, I'm much concerned by the misuse that society makes of science.
This concern for misuse frequently does not translate itself into action.
Scientific and technological developments have been misused by people who have not really understood the consequences, have not really understood what's been happening.
Are you satisfied with life as it is today?
No.
Not at all.
Absolutely not.
No, definitely not.
How can I be?
It's getting very complicated.
I think we're just too in a hurry to get every place. But there's a lot of cement.
That someday I'm afraid that some child will have to go in and see a tree in a museum.
I think we're dying.
It could be better, you know.
Of course it could be better, but it could be worse.
I think it's better than it has ever been, but I'm not satisfied.
Definitely not.
When I'm satisfied with life, then I just don't want to live.
No, I am not satisfied. But I want to do something about it.
I don't complain about my own life because I think I have it lucky and because I enjoy what I do and because I see hope.
our society.
That's dumb.
Police says, first for costs. Do you think further scientific investigation should be stopped while we learn to deal with what we already know?
No, I really feel very strongly that it shouldn't.
That is the only single suggestion which is more imbecilic than being contented with the environment as we see it today.
I do feel that many of the tensions that we are observing today stem from excessively rapid technological progress.
Sure, slow down so we can catch up.
And try to, foresee some difficulties instead of seeing what it's too late and, foul, it's over.
No. It's not man's nature to stop.
I don't think we should stop.
It's easy to escape. I like to do that myself, and I dream all the time of going back to the farm, but I know that I never will. You're telling a whole group of people from the beginning of time to stop functioning. That is not possible. That has to go on.
You will not only cut off these sciences, but you will cut off the optimism that man has always had, that all knowledge is useful.
No, I think research, that's part of what man is all about as a human being, is to explore and find out.
Science is our tool. The people, we made it.
No, I don't think it's wise to stop scientific investigation.
I think the problem is not the advance of science, but the lag of humanity, the lag of understanding the direction that science should go.
I think that it should be sped up, but it should be directed in other ways.
I think that our present situation calls for clear thinking of whether you want to call that science or not.
There's plenty of work for scientists to do.
The way we solve our problems is with knowledge. And so the solution to these problems is going to be in more knowledge, not less.
The more you know about, get deeper in science, learn about life, the better it is.
We are dependent upon our getting more knowledge and more understanding, not less.
I want to do something about it.
That's part of what man is all about.
We're trying to say things that mean things to people.
There's plenty of work to do.
It requires a curious and inquisitive mind.
It's actually what life's all about.
I lie awake at nights wondering about things.
Was there a music credit? I missed it. Obviously, there was some Wendy Carlos in there. Some of those little blippy things could have been Gerard Kingsley. Is that his name? I'm totally getting that wrong. Or could have been Raymond Scott. He also did some early electronic music stuff that were similar to that could be used in advertising. And that's what some of that sounded like. But wow, what an insane film that was. 1971, man. That's that golden time. And this also captures the enthusiasm and anxiety associated with science and technology and civilization. Like felt like we were at this crossroads. So it really kind of captures that. Oh wow, Joan Baez too. Like all these people in this film is crazy. Now Larry Yust, okay, he wrote and directed this, and what else did he do? Why, he did an adaptation of The Lottery for Encyclopedia Britannica, and that film I showed once during COVID, and you guys did not like that film. It was very triggering for a lot of people. And if you remember the short story by Shirley Jackson, it's a phenomenal, crazy film. And that film I showed, and everybody's like, "Don't ever show that film again." So, anyways, Larry Yust did a lot of stuff for Encyclopedia Britannica, and this one he actually did for Wexler Films, but really for Lawrence Hall of Science in California. And wow, whacked out film. I love it. And that came from Jeff Alexander, who has it in his collection at the Academic Film Archive of North America, which is actually now relocated to Johns Hopkins University. And we digitized it for him some time ago. Anyways, thanks for tuning in today. We'll be back again tomorrow. If you like what you saw, I saw a lot of new people, new faces commenting. Welcome. And we do this every weekday at lunchtime, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, we'll have some new stuff tomorrow. Maybe not as crazy. I don't know. We set a bar pretty high today with some insanity, starting with the Dan's trip to Planet Phi, and then ending with wondering about things. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'll find some more interesting stuff. But if you like what you saw, hit the thumbs up, hit the like button. Those are great ways to support us and to register a score with the great internet gods to say that we are worth watching and we should be suggested to other people who are watching. You can also support us with the super thanks button, or going to patreon.com/avgeeks or ko-fi.com/avgeeks. That money goes to help pay rent on 7 storage units. 7 that are filled with film. Anyways, everybody have a great rest of your Thursday, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.